Manny was distractingly fine. Tranquillum is giving the spirit of Goop. This show should just be called Malpractice the Musical, I'm telling you. The first time I saw Manny in the first episode, I was like, goddamn. He was a little bit too fine. This man was distractingly fine. Hey everyone, it's Chrysanthus. Thank you so much for joining me today. We'll be doing another React video, another Psychonaut Reacts video. If you've been here before, thank you for coming back. And if you're new here, welcome. We are a realm dedicated to psychedelics and sacred plant medicine, all about demystifying and destigmatizing the truth. So, there's been a new girl in town. Everybody's been talking about her on the Hulu, 9 Perfect Strangers. Everybody's been talking about this girl. So I am going to say this right now. If you're watching the show and you haven't finished it, spoilers. Spoilers all the way through this video. Spoilers, 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 spoiler alert. We'll be talking about the very last episode of this series. So if you don't want to have it spoiled for yourself, off you go. Save this video to your watch later playlist. I'd love to have you back sometime. We can have some tea then. 9 Perfect Strangers, this is going to be a show about a psychedelic retreat ran by a Russian played by Nicole Kidman. It is one of those shows where anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and it being psychedelics, anything that can go wrong and will go wrong will also go right. If you know, you know. I don't know how else to explain that.
The following video is made for the purpose of education and harm reduction. We are not promoting the use, procurement, or possession of any plant medicine or substance. We encourage everyone to do further research and prioritize safety.
Let's hop in, let's watch the show. Full disclosure, I've already seen all of the show, so I will be reacting to a little bit out of the episodes. This is from the beginning of the series.
Namaste. Welcome to Tranquillum House. I'm Masha.
Are you saying they don't want the book?
It's not normal to be screaming dead to the fucking world to the top of your lungs.
We're going because we have issues, Benjamin, with us.
What are you in for?
Weight loss, esteem building, mind and body transformation.
I mean, I already feel better. I really do. Is this not fantastic?
What's that?
Blood draw, standard practice.
Did she give you any idea what to expect?
Suffering.
And that is a bit of the recap of the first episode. So already it's been established we have this group of 9 strangers, 9 perfect strangers. Not all of them are strangers to each other. One of them's a couple, one of them's a family, but they don't know what to expect. Psychedelics has not been mentioned once. They think that this is a retreat, right? It's very mysterious. It's very much the unknown. And we'll talk about the ethics of this and the ethics of dosing.
I'm Masha.
Supposedly she completely changes people, you know? That's why I'm going to be transformed.
Good luck with that.
You're a drug addict, Tony. There's many places you could go, but you came here.
It's my brother, Zach. He stopped living 3 years ago.
I'm angry
And me.
for being so constantly upbeat.
It was interesting.
Excuse me, open, please.
It's not published yet.
Maybe the
Okay, so we're seeing like everybody's issues, right? We're seeing people's problems, what people want to work on. Like everybody is clearly dealing with very different-ish.
guy got a leaked copy or something.
What did it say?
He didn't like it very much.
Honey!
Is Masha crazy or is she the real deal? You're right, Delilah. This is a particularly volatile group. Let's start the protocol, the new protocol. I've made the decision. This is exciting.
Okay, so they're talking about the protocol. Her assistants don't want her to do this protocol, right? And what is the protocol? What does the protocol end up being? The protocol ends up being, as we come to find out, mushrooms, but a higher dose of mushrooms into folks' smoothies. And basically, they don't know that they're being dosed, right? So that's kind of like the premise of the show, is they come to a retreat for wellness and they're actually being dosed. I would say against their will because they never consented to it. So is this ethical? Is it okay to dose people without them knowing? Unless folks have previously signed on and said like, yes, I am good to be dosed, you want to let people know. I still feel like it's really not right. And you'll see like this, the main character is on like very much of an ego trip that, I don't know, maybe other leaders in the psychedelic community are on. So there is a bit of a truth there at the expense and the cost of the folks coming to the retreat for healing.
Y'all mentioned that you've been getting threats. Is that another one?
Get yourself a vibrator and let off some steam.
Picture your son, Zach.
Okay, so that was also a good example that there are definitely not enough assistants and there's not enough hands on board for 9 whole people, right? We have Masha who is leading this, and then for the most part it's only her 2 assistants, which if you know anything about psychedelic ceremony, 2 assistants is really not enough for 9 whole entire people. So certain acts of violence break out, like that one, like a participant goes to strangle another one. There are other helpers throughout Tranquillum, which is the retreat center, but it's nowhere near enough for all of these 9 people, especially with like the magnitude of what they're dealing with. So that was like one of the first things that struck me on the show. Like, that's not enough people.
You Smiley Hogburn, right?
Ben, you're right, that's Smiley Hogburn. What happened, man?
I won the lottery, $22 million. I didn't plan on telling y'all that.
It's Ari. They put him into an induced coma.
Do you mind not saying anything to the others about my little internet scandum thing? You did this? Something's up with Mom, Dad.
She's turning a corner.
Have you been medicating us?
That should never be a reveal, right? That should never be a question you have to ask someone whose care you're put into. The fact that they weren't even doing it discreetly enough for people to not notice, it was very much like you were underestimating the intelligence of these folks to be onto you, which is just so wild. Now, this is obviously a show that exists in fantasy. It exists in the paranormal realm. It's not an actual representation, and it's not supposed to be an actual representation of what can happen if a psychedelic retreat goes wrong. But oh my god, if there was a logline for the show or an alternative title or anything like that, it would be like psychedelic retreats, what not to do. It's all very just like what not to do. It's entertaining, but it's also very horrifying. Something that I don't see enough of in this show is the leader, Masha. She does not give reverence to the roots of this medicine. I don't hear her talking about the indigenous roots. I don't hear her talking about Oaxaca, Mexico, and Maria Sabina and what these medicines were originally used for, their history, their lineage, all that kind of stuff. Like, the medicine in the show exists in a goopy way. It is very goop. It is very, like, I don't know, like the psychedelics episode of like the Goop show. It is so far removed and detached from any sacred lineage that it's just a little, I want to say a little cringe to watch. But I mean, this can happen. I'm sure that this has happened before. I'm sure it's happening right now as I'm making this video. If you ever go to a retreat or you ever want medicine administered to you, it's important that someone's doing a full medical intake of you, which you could argue was done on these strangers, but a full medical intake of you with the expectation of, and you know you're gonna trip, right? And you know you're gonna journey, right? And you know that this is what's gonna happen, right? Like, how do you feel about that? Have you done this before? Like, etc., etc. It shouldn't be like a medical intake under the guise of like fooling you into looking another way while your smoothies are getting dosed.
It's called microdosing and it's perfectly safe.
You could go to jail for this.
You know, some drugs, they can really help people.
They're watching us. And the threats, they wouldn't be coming from you, would they?
Why would I want to threaten Masha? She's the fucking greatest.
You get violent.
Yep, you know.
Tomorrow's your 21st birthday. It's his 21st birthday.
We weren't close.
Oh, I don't believe that.
Many of us have actually been damaged by other people.
I'm a drug addict. I got 2 kids that don't talk to me. I got a career that ended in a blink. Why am I here?
All right, Okay, so already this is like the 5th episode. So much has gone wrong. One thing, Masha is like sleeping with her assistants, which in terms of writing, I don't really think that that plot line contributed anything majorly to the show. Like, I don't think the show needed to be sexy. I don't think that that was needed. But two, it's like such, I mean, like, unless you're partners with folks, and that's like a well-known thing to everyone else that you are serving the medicine with and for, it's like a huge breach of a lot, especially power dynamics. The fact that she's hiding it from the folks that she's working with and the folks that are helping it, like making sure that they don't tell each other, like, oh my gosh. That's just, I don't know, maybe it was supposed to be a canary in the coal mine for like, hey, the stuff going on here is not right. But it's a little wild, and also I think in terms of the writing of the show, a bit unnecessary. People start to be on to her. They wonder why they're there. They're all from different socioeconomic backgrounds, but most of them are pretty wealthy. But it is mostly just watching wealthy people like lose their crap sort of a thing, which there's only a certain amount of that I can take. But also something I liked about the show was that the characters are very nuanced. They're very well written. I found that the Black women in particular were very well written. And a lot of the times you'll see a mostly white cast and a couple of Black characters, and they will be so hideously underwritten. Carmel's character was just, wow, incredible. Regina Hall, give her the, I want to say give her the Grammy. Give her the Emmy. Give her the Emmy, because goddamn, she killed this role. Delilah's character, like, wow, what a character. How fantastically written was she? And she ends up being the girl that saves the day at the end of the day. So kind of bestowing that heroic crown upon a woman that we don't typically see so represented, especially in the psychedelic space. Like, chef's kiss. I loved that part.
Happy birthday.
I heard a noise.
Yeah, I guess I was just talking to myself.
Okay, was it just me?
And this is where like the fantasy paranormal stuff like comes in. Like, they start seeing people who have passed on while they're journeying, and for anybody who doesn't know anything about like magic mushrooms, I think that could give them a totally wrong idea. Like, now everybody has like these psychic abilities, and this show is meant to be fantastic and kind of exaggerated and stuff like that, but that is going to be in the minority of experiences you might have during psychedelics. And if you have that experience during psychedelics, you see someone who's not there, something might be going very wrong. Like, that might indicate a psychotic break. And then the fact that they were all having the same hallucination, like they were seeing the same person and it was like concrete, and he was there and he was saying the same things to all of them. It's just very much like not representative of a realistic psychedelic journey, which is not necessarily what people are coming to the show for. Okay, so.
Or did anybody else dream a tad more vividly last night?
Whatever's in these, they keep them coming.
I'm not gonna make it.
You're not gonna make it where?
To the end of the week, the end of the year.
Don't you look at me like, don't stare at me like I'm a fucking psycho.
We are on the precipice of something great. Stay with me. Stay together.
Mom! Mom!
Entonces, le toque. Attention. Faites bien.
For the person who is leading these ceremonies and administering this medicine, right, to have a hidden motive of like trying to find the one who was like the psychic key, and not tell anybody, the ethics just aren't there. The math is just not mathing. Like, in terms of like morality, it's just like seeing people as means to an end. The entire time I was watching this, like, Masha's character, I was just like, girl, what? What? You start to get the feeling that this isn't actually an experience that's like helping the folks there. In fact, you start to see Carmel's character start to worsen, and Melissa McCarthy's character articulates like, everybody's getting better, but I have a worry that you're getting worse. And to be on a retreat that is led by a non-Black person, and you're surrounded by other non-Black people in being served this medicine, it would be the Black woman that falls by the wayside and is like actually getting worse. And like, I've seen this in the psychedelic space. Oh my goodness, y'all. When I tried peyote for the first time, it was a situation that I had to take care of somebody else because they were so far off the radar that like in being served the medicine, I had to then make sure this other person was okay, because like you'll see it in the psychedelic space, it happens a lot. People with marginalized identities are kind of looked past. It happens in like all healing spaces. It happens in yoga, it happens in mindfulness, it happens, you know, everywhere, but it's just so not cool. And you do start watching this and start to feel like, oh, okay, they're not really taking care of Carmel, but then there's a reason for that. Really quick sidebar, there was also MDMA in the show, that the couple was given MDMA instead of psilocybin, and I thought that was really interesting, and also paid roots to the lineage of MDMA, because it was originally concocted and used in couples therapy, and it has shown promise there. So giving that to the couple was pretty cool in terms of the writing of this. Let's keep watching. This is like the second to last episode.
This is going to be yours. I want you to document all of the events that you see today.
Why? What's about to happen?
We have a slightly higher dose. You don't have to take it, but it is safe.
L'chaim.
You came to this retreat because I had an affair with your husband.
I will.
Right, and right there, that is just total breach of whatever you would call doctor-patient confidentiality, separation of work from home, whatever that ethical boundary guideline is. Come on, like, that's way too close to home. Any person who was administering the medicine, for them to keep that to themselves and not have a conversation with someone about that, if they are going to indeed accept that person on to serve medicine to, it's just a little bit too much tea, a little bit too close to home. Not to say that it couldn't or wouldn't happen in real life, but there would have to be a lot of like reckoning and acknowledgement that would have to come before that. Just
Up this morning, you know what I thought about? Painting my house, maybe getting a dog. Definitely taking you out to dinner.
I think she's with him. I want you to tell me why.
You know why, Mom?
What do you want?
I just want my son back.
I can arrange that.
delusions, right? Delusional. Absolute delusions. I can arrange that, just like the ego trip you have to be on to be like, oh yeah, you want to talk to your deceased son? Pfft, you know, I got you. I'm the plug for that. Like, it blows my mind. This show, and the character of Masha in particular, whew, it's a lot. I love to see Melissa McCarthy in the role of the baddie that gets the guy, because she is, what a baddie. And like, this isn't like a goofy role for her. I really appreciate that. There's a lot of ego going on with Masha's character, a lot of like misleading. An example, you think that you're watching her on her bike when she was little, and it's actually her daughter who was killed, and she doesn't tell anybody about that, including you, the viewer. So she is that, you know, unreliable narrator type. And like, would you want to be put in her hands for a psychedelic journey if you can't even trust her to be real with you about this whole grocery list of things? Like, girl.
I just want my son back.
I can arrange that. Zoe, you're the dominant player here. Your ability to see him facilitates everyone's.
Okay, her pressuring Zoe into that like massive heroic dose was like one of the like most not cool things that happened in the show. That entire family was like, I don't really feel great about this. I'm not sure I want to do this right now. I'm not feeling called to this medicine. And like, as someone administering medicine, you don't just steamroll that, you know, you consider it, and you don't force someone to sit with massive amounts of medicine. Like, it's just so wrong. It's just so wrong on so many levels.
I thought you were her. I saw these horrible images.
And then Carmel beats her up, right? Like, how did y'all not see that coming? Like, Carmel had already one violent outburst. How did y'all not see that coming for you? That was honestly one of the most predictable things. I think that if in an actual retreat there was an instance of violence between, like, two retreat participants, like, that person would probably need to be asked to take a break and come back to maybe a future retreat, or just have like individual ceremony or something like that. And now I know y'all are watching this and like, well, this is clearly a show. Like, I know this is like clearly a show, but this is a show where like some really obvious things were coming, and then they came, and it's like, how did y'all not see that coming for you? Like, why wouldn't that have come for Masha? And the only answer is because she was on such an ego trip that she didn't want to see what was coming for her.
Someone seems so nice and good. It turns out I'm always wrong.
Well, it's not the worst thing anyone's ever said to me, but it's pretty close.
That little girl who was riding the bike, that wasn't me. She was my daughter.
She might be going to the police.
Why would she do this to us?
Well, the last time you dosed a guest with this mixture, he died, Masha.
To show you that it is safe, I am going to take the journey with you. You can't leave us now. We can make you well.
It's not safe to be around you.
What now? Lapuchka.
Great twist. I absolutely loved the Xanadu scene. That was like my favorite scene, when Regina Hall is like dancing to Xanadu, because that is my song, that is my movie, that is the music I love to listen to when I trip. Like, are you kidding me? I felt seen. A lot is going on here. This episode basically goes off the rails. The participants end up being, I don't know if you would say, held against their will, and kind of all of these predictable bad things happen. Not necessarily incredibly predictable to the audience, but just like things that seem like they would go wrong do go wrong. All in all, the ending of the show, how they ended it, was probably the best way they could have ended it. Of course, you think that Masha is going to end up in jail, and maybe she did, and the visualization of her just driving off in a car was actually her tripping in jail, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't. I'm pretty sure because she was rich, she was able to buy her way out of jail, despite all of the acts of atrocities committed throughout the season, and the malpractice. This show should just be called Malpractice the Musical. I'm telling you. I am telling you. But yeah, I wasn't mad at the ending. I'm glad that these two actually ended up together. I think that was very sweet. I know couples that have met at psychedelic retreats and have ended up being together after seeing Truth in a Stranger. I loved that Carmel was leading some kind of anonymous meeting, some kind of therapy meeting. I love that Carmel was a leader in healing. I think it's so Chugi and Goop like that the two of these people became the heads of Tranquillum, but I also think it is so funny and a really funny, lighthearted ending for the two of these characters. And I also like to see that the retreat has been put in the hands of at least one person of color, that this family gets their happy ending. All seems like karmically right with this. And then this last scene of Masha driving with her daughter. To me, she could be still in jail. To me, she could have transcended and she's totally in jail, because she wouldn't be doing the DMT and the heroic dose and the giant trip where she saw her daughter the first time and driving. But then you don't see her daughter in that frame. So who knows, maybe she is heavily tripping and driving. But yeah, all in all, let's give this some mushrooms. Let's give this some mushrooms. In terms of entertainment value, I would give this show 8.5 out of 10 for entertainment value. Casting is an easy 10 out of 10. Psychedelic representation is going to get a 5 from me. This was awful psychedelic representation. Again, I don't think that that was the purpose that this show was meant to serve, but mushrooms mainly function on the show as a plot device. Anyways, those are my thoughts on 9 Perfect Strangers. Those are my thoughts on Tranquillum. Would I go to Tranquillum? I mean, I would think twice before going to Tranquillum. I would need to get it on one of those vouchers or something because, damn. Probably wouldn't go to Tranquillum. The lineage to like the indigenous roots of mushrooms just aren't at Tranquillum. Tranquillum is giving the spirit of goop. It's very goopified mushrooms. So anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed my react to 9 Perfect Strangers. Let me know what you thought about the show, this ridiculous show, in the comments section. I mean, I enjoyed watching it. I definitely watched it within a matter of a few days because it had me hooked. It was really solid cliffhangers, very solid writing to keep you hooked. I appreciated the entertainment value, yes. And the acting, it was definitely very much an all-star cast. Also, can we just objectify this man for just 1 second, and then I'll let this go. But Manny, they did Manny too fine in this show. They did Manny too fine. They could have dialed it back. They could have dialed it back just a little. Manny was distractingly fine in the show. Some of y'all will know Manny from The Good Place, but as the first time I saw Manny in the first episode, I was like, goddamn, I'm done. I'm not gonna be able to pay attention to literally anything else because they made this man too fine. If you could have just taken him out of some hemp, if you could have put him in some khakis, if you could have maybe lose the mustache, lose the hemp, like I can't explain. He was a little bit too fine. This man was distractingly fine in this show, and I don't know. I'm not saying it took away from his character or his acting or anything, but every time he was on screen, I was just like, damn, they made this man too fine. Anyways, let me know what you thought about the show. Did you have a favorite part of the show? Who was your favorite character, etc., etc.? I want to know it all. Drop that in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video and my other videos, I have merch. You can support the realm via getting merch like these dope threads. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Please like this video, and if you enjoyed it, please subscribe. As always, I wish y'all well, and be sure to keep it true.